finally here. We're finally the video that I've been the most excited for this month, reading your ghost stories. Except for not really, because only 2 of you actually emailed me stories. I feel like I should be embarrassed, but I'm not. Like, obviously the dream was you guys sent me enough stories to fill up the video, but that didn't happen. Of embarrassing things, not getting enough ghost stories for my small YouTube channel is fine. It's not that embarrassing. What is the most embarrassing thing that's happened to me this year? So I have one. So I was taking my dog for a walk and one of my neighbors came out their door and we were like right next to their door. And the thing about my dog is that she has a really big bark. At the end of the day, she's 40 pounds and so friendly. And he wasn't moving. So I let the dog like go sniff him. And I hadn't slept for 3 days, as I do. And I was trying to say a speech that I've said many times, which is, she has a big bark, but she's very friendly. Like, that was what I was trying to say. However, I was nervous. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to have a social interaction. I hadn't slept in 3 days. So I just stumbled over my words, like that one video of the kid like trying to tell a story.
You could do so. You want him.
And then finally he introduced himself. And let's see if I can. So he went in like this. So I thought, oh, we're gonna fist bump. But at the last minute, he goes in for the handshake. So we meet kind of like this. And then he is like, oh, fist bump. Okay. I think I'm gonna think about that for the rest of my life. So not having enough ghost stories to fill up this video, not even nearly as embarrassing as that felt deep in my soul. I avoid that person now. But I can't make a video with 2 stories, so I'm going to read the stories you sent in, and then I'm gonna go to r/ghost stories and read some of those. This is just where we're at. Also, my hair, I can't with my own fucking hair right now, dude. It's just not cooperating. So if it looks messy, it looks messy. That's where we're at today. Also, of course, we have to acknowledge my son, Wendell. If we don't acknowledge Wendell, he puts my jeans in the dryer. Just diabolical shit. I'm gonna just say our first story is from BL. Obviously, they don't want me to say their email address, but I don't know if they wanted me to use their name, so I'm just gonna say from BL. Hello, I've been a huge fan of your content and decided recently to share my own story with you. This occurred when I was very young, and I would be so happy to share this. I would also appreciate if you didn't share my email address. You got it. Hey, just for you. When I was around 7 years old, I lived in a small 1-story house in a suburban neighborhood. I shared a room with my little brother at the very end of a long hallway. I had sleep apnea and slept very little. Fun fact, I had toddler sleep apnea, so I'm right there with ya. So I was often awake and wandering in the late hours. Sorry, I suck at reading. One night, I thought I heard a noise in the living room at the end of the hallway. I walked down, assuming my mother was awake. Standing at the end of the hallway, I called into the darkness, "Mom?" Silence. Fear gripped my heart and shivers ran down my spine. Suddenly, a white figure walked slowly into view. It was glowing. It waved momentarily and disappeared from view. As I grew older, the figure found its way into my life, allowing only short glimpses out of the corner of my eye. However, my family moved out of the house and into a 2-story house. I had my own room yet again at the end of a long hallway. The figure stopped appearing for about a year. However, one night I heard something that truly terrified me. Beforehand, I have a very sensitive hearing and can identify the height and weight and occasionally gender based on the footsteps of a person. That's actually a really cool skill. That night while getting ready to sleep, I heard footsteps outside my room. I was home alone. It sounded like that of a young child, most likely female. I ignored it, thinking it was just my ears playing tricks on me. But then my door handle rattled. Ooh. The floor creaked. I could hear breathing. For approximately 4 years, this happened every night. After that first night, I began to see the same white figure, except now it was only at night. That stopped after, like I said, around 4 years, and I haven't heard or seen anything since. This is also a very long story, so feel free to cut anything out or just summarize it. I don't mind. Thank you so much. Thank you for sending in your story. Thank you for being one of the few people who sent in your story. The only things I'm gonna cut out is me stumbling or stuttering over my words. It wasn't that long. Holy shit, that is terrifying. There's something so ominous about hearing breathing, but also like the floorboards creaking, and there's also something super terrifying about that happening every single night. But I am with you there. As I said, I would share some of my own ghost stories, and one that I mentioned in the last video was the man that used to come to my room every night. For a while, I actually thought it might have been like a dream, like as a kid, that like I just dreamed it and I thought that it happened, and then I brought it up to my sister and she was like, no, I remember you used to say that, and it fucking terrified me. I wish I could like draw a diagram of my bedroom. Maybe I could make it in The Sims and put it up here. Every night for probably 2 years, there was a man who would just sit in my room, like, I don't know if you can see my knees, but like with his knees up and like his arms on his knees and his head like curled down in, at the end of my bunk bed where my bookshelf was, and he would just sit there. And it was, as you can imagine, absolutely terrifying, and it happened every night, and I like hated going to bed. I didn't sleep very much. Of course, nobody believed me. My parents were just like, go to fucking bed, stop bothering us. So I feel you on that whole every night, like expecting that sort of thing to happen. That's a pretty terrifying story. I definitely see like shadow figures out of the corner of my eye, but I wouldn't say that I have like a consistent player the way that you do. Damn, I'm sorry, BL. It seems like that doesn't happen anymore, and I'm glad that it doesn't, because Jesus Christ. I want to thank both of you for sending in your stories, and we'll be contacting you probably in mid-November, because I think I actually need to hibernate for a little while, and we'll send you your little prizes. That's right, there is a giveaway for this video, and none of you sent in stories. So now we're gonna go to r/ghost stories and read some of those, and I'm gonna put my hair up. Nobody knows how to tell a short ghost story on this Reddit. Holy shit. This story is called House on a Graveyard. In Texas, there's a suburb that is just outside of Houston that was built in the 70s over an 1800s graveyard. Bad start. They doomed anybody that lives in that suburb, like, immediately. They pretty much removed the gravestones, but didn't move the bodies, so as time passes, the community gets bigger. They keep finding graves. The most recent graves that were found was about 2 or 3 years ago, and if you go into the forest heading to the lake, you may find 2 gravestones. This is a story of a few experiences I've had living here, and FYI, this will be a lengthy post. It's not too bad, but if I get bored, I'll stop reading it. When my wife got pregnant in 2020, we were so excited. It was our first, and so we were outfitting the baby's nursery. On this particular day, I was just about to build the crib. I had just picked up the heavy box from inside the garage. I went to open the door while struggling to reach for the door handle. Suddenly, the door flew open out from under my hand. Due to this, I was expecting to see my wife on the other side of the door, but she wasn't. She was in the nursery. What made this even more weird is that the door was a heavy door, one that would close under its own weight, and it wasn't a windy day. At this time, I thought it was strange, but really thought nothing of it. The second experience we had in this house actually involves my wife. I was taking a shower and relaxing after a hard day's work. She had gone into the kitchen and started to cook dinner as I showered. She suddenly burst into the bathroom, and she claimed that she saw a shadow heading to the nursery and assumed it was me. She said she started talking and thought it was odd I didn't reply, and looked over, saw no one was there. We both have things move time to time, but thought we were forgetful and had moved them, but both of us never remembered moving the item. That happens to me all the time in my room. My room is haunted. I'll tell you a little bit about that more later, but I relate to that. It makes you feel crazy. It wasn't until I buy a second house in the same community and go to rent out the first that I learned the history of the community. A guy looking at the house told me what he knew of the graveyard, and after a conversation with him, I became curious and started researching, even finding an Unsolved Mysteries episode about the community. That is so... I want to go find that now. And the experiences the first people in the community had, as well as all the lawsuits that happened. For those wondering, the buyers of the homes lost the case due to the fact the graveyard was considered abandoned when the developer took over, so there were no liability on them. Or, so I understand if I read that correctly. That's fucked up. Abandoned. Does abandoned just mean a graveyard that you can't bury bodies anymore? Like it's too full? It's not abandoned. It's full of bodies. Like that has to count for something. That's crazy. I would sue too. Hey, you didn't tell me that my house was built over bodies. That's fucked up. Skipping to the next house. Oh, it started activity immediately. At this point of time, I have a 6-month-old and a toddler. My wife, myself, and the toddler were in the living room. My newborn was sleeping in the master. Suddenly, and with me and my wife both present to see it, a playpen ball flew out of our master and hit the wall. We both tried to figure out how that could have happened. We looked at air conditioning, if the toys were nearby, and could figure out if that launched the ball. Nothing. We couldn't explain how the ball was thrown that hard against the wall. This next sentence. The weirdest things happen at 3 a.m. without fail. My 2-year-old daughter, who is autistic, same, wakes up and wants to sleep with us. Sometimes she seems like she's scared, sometimes she seems like she's normal. Now, I don't know if this is learned behavior or something more, but I feel like it's worth noting. Time and time again, we think we see shadows and dark masses. My wife says she feels uncomfortable in the kitchen. I feel like I see things out of the corner of my eye. Now, to be forward, I won't call this paranormal because this could be paranoia, blah, blah, blah. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. You're welcome. That is creepy. The ball is creepy. This is one thing that bugs me about ghost shit, is people will be like, there's a reasonable explanation for this, when there's just not. Hey, did the newborn baby, who can't hold its own fucking head up, chuck the play ball that was probably on the floor and not like in the bassinet or anything at the wall? Did the baby do that? No, it didn't. And that's just one thing that drives me crazy about ghost stories. Last year when I moved into this apartment, it was just me and my ex before my roommates were here. We slept here the first night, just the two of us. And we were in my bathroom brushing our teeth and getting ready for bed. And on my desk, on my desk where it sits currently now, which is right here next to me, my makeup bag was open. And I don't even know how to explain it. I had a plastic bag of makeup wipes in my little like makeup pouch. It's a face shit pouch, very famous. And the makeup wipes were sitting in my bag, and me and my partner saw this. They just like up and out of my bag. Hey, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to think that is? There's a logical explanation. No, there wasn't. The air conditioning wasn't on, the heat wasn't on, and even if it was, like, gravity, how would the plastic bag have gotten up and out of my makeup bag? Like, you saw it pop up and out. Like, how do you explain shit like that? That's crazy. I don't know. I feel for these people. You never want it to be, like, the scariest thing, but we're not alone. I believe that we're not alone, and I also believe, because this is my second apartment where my room was haunted, that they're just there. It used to happen a lot more in my other apartment, especially when I was recording videos or doing anything with videos. Like, I would see shit, or I would hear shit, or something would go wrong with like editing or my microphone or like stuff like that. Another thing that used to happen all the time was my dog sleeps with me in my room. And at night we would go up to bed and I'd go in the room and I'm getting freaked out talking about this. It's not even the scariest thing that's ever happened to me, but like I want a blanket. My dog wouldn't come into my room. She just wouldn't go in. I would have to sit in the hallway with her for like 15 or 20 minutes and just like pet her and talk to her and try to convince her to come into my room. And it would happen It happened twice, but like for periods of several nights, and then it took a break, and then it happened again because I talked to the ghost in my room. And I said, hey, I don't mind you being here, but don't scare my dog. Like, if you want to be here, just be chill about it. And that's a conversation that you should have if you think you have ghosts. Hey, you can be here. I'm cool with you being here. I can share this space, and I want you to feel safe here. Don't mess with my dog. Leave my dog alone. Leave me alone. Let's just have a peaceful existence together. I hope y'all don't think I'm crazy. I hope you don't think I'm crazy. Let's find another Reddit story. Wow, it only took me seconds, but I think I found something terrifying. I want a blanket. If I sit like this, will you guys judge me? Man at the window. Already, title alone, I'm done. I was raised in the rural South, where the shade from the forest cooled our house in the summer. My childhood bedroom had a large window that started a foot off the ground and stood about 5 feet tall and was nearly 3 feet wide. When the sun was out, the window still placed an uneasy feeling in my stomach. Once the moon rose over our house, the window started watching you, waiting for you to drop your guard. What manner of threat it actually posed was questionable in reality, if any. But my instincts never really cared for the explanation, and I openly avoided it every night until I was finally asleep. Finally, the weather decided to switch from the 90s every day to mid-60s every day. The arrival of fall meant one thing for us every year. We would be raking up the leaves from the year after school most days going forward. While picking up the leaves outside, I saw someone in a brown waterproof coat and camo hat staring in my window. I froze seeing this man staring into my room for several reasons. The first was that while my window was a foot off the ground from the floor, inside it was a solid 6 foot or more from the outside earth. That was a really hard sentence to read. His feet hung loosely and dangled on nothing, like a bad Halloween decoration, but he was standing on nothing, as if someone had hung him by the neck from the roof of our house. I started walking away from him, hoping not to give him any reason to notice me. Luckily, he seemed not to. I told my grandfather about the whole experience, and he said firmly he did not believe in ghosts. He honored my words as a man, that at least that's what I thought I saw. A few months later, I saw the exact same man at a gun show acting completely normal. I could see his face a bit better, and he had a scraggly black beard with white in it and seemed to not notice me. Talking to my grandfather about it, he decided to try to talk to the man without mentioning the event to see how he was, and he seemed completely normal. I still don't know what the fuck is going on, and I never got an explanation, but anxiety of the window never left me. Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. That's really all I have to say. Fuck that. That's terrifying. I think I assumed that they would be inside and the man would be outside. Because that is a common ghost thing. Like, you're inside and you see a face in your window. It's a common everything thing. When I was little, that used to be one of my biggest fears because we had a 1-story house. And one time my stepdad stood in the window when it was dark outside. He was watering the plants or something, and he stood in the window and waited until me and my sister saw him, and it scared the shit out of us because it was dark outside. Ever since then, it's just a creepy thought. And now I live on the 4th floor of my apartment building, so I don't really worry about that. If there's a face in my window, there are so many other problems. Yeah, that was terrifying. I didn't like that very much, no. I don't know what the fuck they're doing outside. I have to continue even though there's noise. I'm sorry, I found one more short story for us to read. Some of my experiences growing up in a haunted apartment. Just like me. For context, I didn't have siblings or pets when I was a kid. Can't relate. When I was probably around 10, I was about to step out of the shower when I had an idea. I had a few strange things happen in this place, and I was sure spirits existed, but I wasn't completely sure, so I asked, "Are there any ghosts in here?" And after I asked that, this cup that was on the front counter of the shower slowly started to slide off of the shower. That was written very weirdly, but I get it. And I noticed that after that, some places felt heavier than others. It was almost like an invisible hand was lightly pushing down on my shoulders. One thing that happened to me was this. I woke up. It was after midnight and I was trying to fall asleep when I heard the music from my radio/DVD player stop, and a little girl's voice said "Papa" a few times. Okay, that's creepy, but I'm only thinking of Stranger Things. You are like Papa! Papa a few times, and then it went back to normal calming music it was playing seconds ago. I eventually got back to sleep. I don't know how I did. So this is a great example of don't invite things into your life. I like to go in saying, I know you're here, but please be chill, as I mentioned. Go in confident. Asking questions, bad idea. You don't want the answers. She gave it the power. She said, hey, are you there? And they said, we are. And you're gonna remember that forever. And we're going to constantly remind you by like putting so much pressure on you, like on your shoulders. And of course the little voice in the TV/radio saying, Papa? Papa? Little 11 from Stranger Things moment. Yeah, that's creepy. So if you've learned anything from this video, be confident with ghosts. You're not alone for having ghost experiences. And sometimes when you have a YouTube channel, you ask people to send you their ghost stories, even though they've been DMing you ghost stories separately for a while, and you say, hey, why don't you guys email me your ghost stories so I can give you a better reaction? And then they don't. And shit happens. I also lost subscribers this month. You win some, you lose some. You can't win them all. So, whatever. What I have learned is I'm not built for 4 videos a month. I can tell you that much. I'm not built for this. Not even a little bit. Not even in the slightest. So like I said, I think I'm actually gonna hibernate for a few weeks. I really think I'd like to just do nothing for like a solid week or so, starting next week. Because I am currently running around getting my costume ready for Halloween, and I'm probably gonna do things that make my body feel like shit for a while.
This is post Halloween Clever Haunts, and I can confirm that I, let's just say, consumed things that have made my body feel like shit. This is Tuesday. This is the day this video is going up. I did these things Saturday evening into early Sunday morning. And can confirm today is the first day I feel a little bit like a person again. I hope everybody else had a good Halloween, and if not, I hope you have a wonderful Halloween. Drink responsibly.
So I'm planning on hopefully putting out a video next month. Just one. But I don't want to make any promises because not only did I make 4 videos this month, but I had family in town. I had a lot going on besides making videos. So I'm very proud of myself for what I accomplished, but have no ambition to accomplish this again next month. Not even a little bit. Thank you if you've joined me for October for Spooky Month. I hope you liked it. I hope it was cool. Obviously several of you didn't because you unsubscribed, but I hope those who stayed and those who watched loved it, and I had fun doing it. I honestly did. I had fun making spooky videos for Spooky Month, and I think I got it out of my system so I can get back to some UFO shit. I'm gonna leave the Tell Clever Haunts Gmail open and leave it in my description and leave it on my Instagram and just collect stories. Hopefully people send me stories, and when I have enough, I'll read them. Because I do want to hear your spooky stories. I want to hear them straight from you guys. I want to hear what you guys have going on. I know it's loud as fuck outside right now, so I'm gonna go for recording reasons, but also I have a costume to bedazzle for this weekend, so I gotta go do that now. So signing off for the last time in October, I'm Clever Haunts, and I guess that's it.